Okay, it says in stream. Hey, it seems like we're live. It says live at the top left.
Yeah, there we are. Now we're live. All right. So now we're live on YouTube, guys. Hey, everyone out there in YouTube land giving us a watch. I'm Greg Elfering. I'm the Director of Marketing over at Empire Flippers, where we help you buy and sell online businesses. And with me, I got two of my very good friends who are unpaid Empire Flippers employees. So they're forced to work at the search initiative. I got them to wear our shirt because our brand is just that powerful. So we are here live. So we're going to be talking about how to execute a results-driven strategy for e-commerce and Amazon FBA when it comes to SEO. And in case you're wondering, I'm controlling the slides. So if we mess up, it's 100% my fault. I will be blaming it on these two. So we can go there. Before we get started, go ahead and introduce yourself to the crowd, just in case no one's familiar with you.
Thanks so much for having us. Okay, so I'm Raf. I'm the commercial director at TSI. Proud wearer of about 8 or 9 Empire Flippers t-shirts.
They have taken
over my wardrobe. Yeah, oh mate, how many have you got?
I got like 500, man. 500.
Damn. Well, I've got quite a few, and I'm very fond of them. I might add as well. So yeah, and rad.
Yeah, I was actually wondering where all the t-shirts have gone.
Well, Greg had a bone to pick with you, didn't he? Because you didn't wear the Empire Flippers t-shirt.
Oh, why do you have to always bring that up?
Terrible sin.
We always look at one photo where I'm the only one not wearing the Empire Flippers t-shirt.
It was so bad.
Yeah, I know. I hate your feelings.
It was so bad when Raf showed me that picture. I was like, "Who is this? I didn't recognize you."
Yeah. Okay, but for everyone who's watching and don't know me or can't recognize me as like Greg, I'm Rad Palushak, and I'm the director of SEO at TSI. So thanks for having me, Greg. And I'm also proud wearer of the T-shirt, the Empire Flipper T-shirt, but
just
not all the photos that I've got.
Just the one t-shirt.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've only got one. Yeah, I feel betrayed, actually. Neglected.
You just wanted to come on this YouTube live, didn't realize you were going to get roasted so hard over your opinion. So just for everyone out there, like I mentioned, I will be controlling the slides for their presentation, so there might be a little bit of unsmoothness, but if you have some questions, there is a live chat to the right. I think that's the right direction. I am using my right hand on YouTube, where you can answer in your question, and at the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions. So I don't know if do you guys want to explain a little bit more about what you're about to go over, and then we can just dive right into it?
Yeah, sure. So if we go to the second slide, and maybe I'm just going to count on my fingers, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yes. So for the audience out there watching, Rad has decided to put animations into his PowerPoint.
So it helps a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. So yes, basically SEO. First of all, this presentation is definitely for you, for everyone who's watching, and I trust that you guys all can answer at least one of these questions as yes. So if part of your business relies on organic traffic on the internet, basically that comes from the search engines, then this is definitely for you. If some of your competitors are doing better than you, then definitely stay until the end of the presentation, because maybe you have some questions. If you want to further develop your business, like we all, this is also for you if you want to get more coverage or you want to make more money. So I think this none of you who don't want to make more money. So definitely this presentation is for you. And now what we're going to go over, I need next slide.
Hey, Raf,
it's actually quite funny how you're typing in like.
Yes, the terrible design of the Dell XPS right
here. The Dell XPS.
My spider fingers. Hey, Raf, I think you have some background audio. I think it's coming from you.
I think it might be. Let me just mute my microphone. My missus is on a bloody call in the kitchen at the same time.
Close the door.
We are the most professional marketers in the world right here.
Yeah, all of us. Irony. Okay, so the agenda for today, we're going to look at the SEO in general. So if any of you don't know what that is or how it works, and pros and cons of SEO, I think it will actually turn into like a nice open discussion between all three of us. That would be interesting. Then we'll look at the SEO strategy for e-commerce, and obviously fulfilled by Amazon as well. But why I only put e-commerce here, you'll find out on one of the slides, which will also, I hope, cause us to start a little dispute online. Maybe not like shitstorm on Twitter, but yeah, we'll see where we get. And then I'll show you a few real life success stories, a few cases, actually 3 cases where we deployed interesting SEO strategies and how they helped the client. Summarize everything, and then we'll jump into a Q&A session. So it's basically your all guys' time to pick our brains.
Next slide.
Cool. Yeah, but before we start, there's a few animations there as well. No, maybe there's like 2, 4, 6 of them. So just get all of them. That's it. That's the last one.
Okay, cool.
So first of all, the search initiative. So who are we? We are an SEO agency. Obviously, we're available on the search initiative.com, and the agency is co-founded by Matt Diggity. And for you who don't know who Matt Diggity is, I'm actually introducing him on the next slide. Now, we pride ourselves in being a very technical SEO agency. It doesn't mean that we only do technical SEO, but we kind of specialize in the technical SEO because this is where we see the best results and a lot of benefits. And also, I wanted to highlight that element as well during this webinar, because I think the technical SEO is actually one of the elements of the SEO marketing strategy that actually benefits the e-commerce clients the most out of all our clients. But it's also, in my opinion, maybe you guys have a different point of view on this. I think technical SEO is actually the most important part of the SEO in general, right? Now, a quick overview of the agency. We've got 2 main offices, one in London, UK, and one in Poznań, Poland. It's a funny story because I came to Poland just at the beginning of March, and like a week later, there was this huge quarantine and coronavirus fallout, so I'm stuck here for the past 4 months now, and hopefully I'll go home soon. But yeah, we've got like 30 people in Poznań, overall 50 staff members at the agency, and we do pretty much all sorts of SEO and all sorts of clients. Obviously, e-commerce fulfilled by Amazon, but not on Amazon, actually. I'm actually going into that in a bit more detail in a second. And affiliates, which are a big part of our portfolio as well. I think I wanted to really mention affiliates because I believe there will be a few affiliate marketers watching us online now. So yeah. Okay, now obviously I mentioned Matt Diggity. He's a great guy, one of our co-founders. Go on, Craig. There's a few more. One more. There we go. So perfect. Matt has his own. Matt has a portfolio of affiliate sites. This is where he specializes. This is what he specializes in, and that's called Link Spring. He also, as I said, co-founded the Search Initiative. He organizes Chiang Mai SEO conference, which is I might be slightly biased, but honestly, I think this is like probably one of the best SEO conferences in the world, and it's also situated in Chiang Mai, Thailand, which is also really a really nice area to chill out, and it's like almost a capital F of SEOs. Of the world. Matt also has his link service called Authority Builders, and he had Diggity Links, which he, I think, closed or sold in 2018. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah.
Oh no, I thought there was going to be one more.
Okay, and
I saw that coming.
So, Red Palushak, I'm the director of SEO at TSI. I oversee all of the campaigns, basically of all of our clients. So that's around 100 plus campaigns. I've started doing SEO back in 2010, so it's around 10 years now, if I count correctly. Please forgive my math. I like technical SEO because I have the software engineering background, and I was actually doing websites as a web developer way before I started doing SEO. So this little web dev kind of background really helps me in understanding like all the intricacies on the websites, approach like all different websites and all different technologies, and actually also really helps in understanding the algorithms overall, which then helps us to battle with this big mammoth of an algorithm that is Google Algo. Okay, so let's begin. First off, let's start with what is SEO, and maybe I'll ask Raf to answer that because he loves talking about this particular thing and introducing SEO in general. Would you like this one, Raf?
I mean, with something like that, it's nice to answer it as simply as possible. It's like, okay, SEO is how you make a site that deserves to appear for specific queries to appear as highly as possible for those queries. And it's important, the first part of what I said is important, the deserving part, because we do also get a ton of queries from people who are prepared to pay a lot of money to rank their sites for some very competitive terms, but you look at their site and you look at the sites that are already appearing in top positions, and they pale into comparison in terms of the quality of their product or their service or the content on their site. When you look at the sites that are already appearing top places, so it's important the site deserves to appear there, and then SEO is the way in which the methods in which you make that site rank higher for the terms that it deserves to appear for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you actually mentioned the preparation stage. I would actually go a little bit farther and mention business element of all of this as well. And there's this great guy called Greg from Empire Flippers who spoke at Chiang Mai SEO 2019.
My favorite speaker. He was so good. Changed my life.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. And no, but I remember you had this presentation about actually turning your online, basically turning your website into a real online business and changing this mindset of actually, thinking of your website as a little entity that, you just want to, develop slightly and then sell on. And you mentioned so many interesting ways of monetizing stuff. You actually, even as far as I remember, mentioned how you could perhaps turn your site into something like a SaaS tool or something. That was really inspiring, and I think this is really important to highlight this mindset that it's not always how you want your site to rank, or you want just rank for a few keywords, and be like all happy and like, you know, go and flip the site, obviously with Empire Flippers.
Obviously, 100% obviously.
Yeah. It's very.
I mean, who else? Who else do you flip the site with?
We have 0 competitors.
Yeah, no, not on this webinar, please. And they're all shit anyway, if any exist out in the wild. So yeah.
You're earning your brownie points back. You're earning your shirt, Raf.
So I think if we all change this mindset from, oh, I'll just take this site and rank it quickly, you know, maybe buy some traffic, you know, get some sales and then, you know, sell it on, flip it for, you know, X amount of money, into like, how about I actually develop this site into real business, you know, start monetizing with newsletters, start doing SEO, so it's, you know, sustainable and long term, and brings me monetary value like for a much longer time. And obviously, by increasing the value of the site, then you're obviously increasing your final deal that you're gonna get, and how much money you're gonna get for the site, right? So yeah, I mentioned a couple of things about the SEO, but let's look at SEO pros and cons. So SEO, I think it's one of those strategies. It's one of these things that gives you long-term effects, and as much as it's obviously, I'm going to mention one of the cons now, but as much as it takes a little bit of time to actually fire up all the engines, it actually gives you results for a longer period of time if it's done right? So it's obviously long term. It's sustainable because, like I said, you know, you can decide how long you're paying for SEO, how long you're doing SEO, but at the same time, you know, it's not like the things you do suddenly are going to disappear, right, on your website. So basically, by optimizing your website, you're investing in it. So you're looking after your asset. It's like you know, kind of like tuning a car, right? But you're basically tuning your website, right? And you make it more sustainable. Now, overall, I would say with 10 years experience, SEO is really easy.
It just takes a decade. No problem.
No, but I honestly think a lot of SEOs overcomplicate their work, right? They're looking at things that, you know, either don't work, or take ages, or are not really priorities. But overall, if we look at SEO strategy, and I'll actually mention that later on when we're looking at the case studies. There's like just a few things that you need to do on your website, right? Obviously, few things like technical SEO, so you need to make, you know, Google love your website. You need to make sure the content is great, and you need to also make sure that your website is actually about the topic it's meant to be about, right? So Google understands your website, right? And overall, you know, obviously those things, when we go into them a little bit deeper, they are quite big and quite complex. But overall, at the very surface of SEO, it's quite easy, right? And like I said before, it's really safe if it's done right, because if you're basically obeying Google guidelines and what Google tells you about, you know, what you shouldn't do on your website, and you do it right, then you don't really take any shortcuts in the optimizations that you do, then it's safe and it stays with you for a long time, right? And there's one more under pros, Greg.
There you go.
Yay! And it's cheap.
I was saving that one specifically. I knew how powerful it was going to be.
Nice, good. Yeah. Overall, there's like a little asterisk there, because when I'm saying cheap, again, going into the cons already. So maybe let's put the first con out there.
Before you do that, I just wanted to touch on the easy part, because you're totally right. People unnecessarily overcomplicate SEO, and it doesn't, like, if you understand what Google has spent the last couple decades optimizing its algorithm for, and you now look at the buzzwords that people are throwing around, like user intent satisfaction, like, oh, it's such a big buzzword right now, but this is something that Google has been after this whole time. It's just been after, matching what the person is looking for with what they expect to find on Google. And as long as you're doing that, there are ways that you can, once you know what elements affect the Google algorithm, fine, it gives you a bit of an advantage as to what stuff you should prioritize. But the essence of it is to make sure that the user has what they expect to find and what they want in front of them, and it's very easy for them to work their way around that and to convert and to do whatever action you want them to do on your site. So
I also agree with that. I think SEO is like one of those things that if you learn more about it, you suddenly almost become worse for a while, because now you're overthinking it. Like I get so many people asking me, what's your strategy idea for SEO? Like, good content on page, and then get a backlink or two from a guest post. Like, no, it can't be that.
And then show your traffic graph, and it just goes up. Right. So yeah, exactly. And obviously the king of content.
Obviously.
Yeah, but going back to what I was saying, SEO is cheap, but we need to remember that it's rather a marathon, not a sprint, right? So it's like, and I love this comparison, and that's why I'm talking about or mentioning this business mindset all the time, because if you look at SEO as an investment, obviously it might be quite expensive at the very beginning, but if you understand that it's the added value that's going to work for you for a long period of time, then this investment that you're making now will bring you ROI obviously later down the line, right? So that's why I put this little asterisk there, because SEO in itself isn't cheap, at the very beginning or on a monthly basis, but in a few months' time, it pays back, and it keeps paying back and back and back, for a longer period of time. Right now,
just to add on that cheap thing, like I don't know if you guys probably know this, but with a SaaS business, if like a bigger one that wants to keep their CAC down, they'll actually invest heavily into SEO to make their blended CAC smaller, because the SEO is so cheap. Once it actually is working, it allows them to go experiment with the paid ads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyways, fun trivia.
And actually, one of the cons that I didn't put there is it's not an on-off thing, right? So so that's going to be a bit complicated, what I'm about to say, and I need to word it properly.
I think I know where you're going.
Testing is in SEO. It's very important, and you need to do tests in SEO all the time, right? But testing with SEO, testing things out with SEO isn't easy and isn't quick, right? So what I mean by that, when you're looking at AdWords and you're doing some, tests, let's say you want to find out if this keyword is going to convert, then you can switch on the campaign, put that keyword up pretty much within minutes sometimes, right? With Google AdWords or ads, right? Whereas, and you will find out in a day or two, depending what you spend if this keyword is actually, performing well for you, right? Whereas you can't do that with SEO, right? That's why quite often when we deploy strategies, we actually attack a broad spectrum of keywords, basically as many as possible. That's why if some of them don't really work out in terms of the conversions, right, they bring you traffic, which is important for Google as well, but as a secondary factor. But we might miss some things, but then overall the keywords that we bring will give you the monetization that you need, right? And actually, it's going to be really profound, what I'm going to say, but this is what I hate in SEO from the very, very beginning, right? You're reliant on the third party, right? Which is Google. So quite sometimes, especially when Google announces on Twitter that they're rolling out a broad core algorithm update, everyone goes, in the corner and cries out like, "Oh, why do I have to go through this again?" Right? It's a third party. That's the environment that we're working in, and sometimes Google can basically just flip a switch, and the whole the whole horizon is like, the whole landscape is like basically turned upside down, right? So this is something we need to remember. We are not in control of everything that happens in Google, right? Well, we're not in control over nothing that happens in Google, but there will be things that Google does that aren't necessarily, nice for us or good for us, and then we need to just swallow this thing and work on things to improve and get our site back up again. Right, these things happen, and actually one of the cases that I'm going to show you is actually about a client that came to us just after an algo update that affected them in a very negative way. And the last one, SEO isn't easy, but it is easy, like we said, right?
Like I did that right there. That was really good. I just say.
Yeah, you really waited me out with that. Yeah, so all these things that we mentioned earlier, all these elements that I said, the content that you said you're writing, Greg, or managing, on site, links. These are easy things, but at the same time, in themselves, they're quite complex, right? Because if you tell a business owner, hey, you need to get a link, he'll be like, what?
Yeah. What do you mean, like a chain link?
Or go implement some canonicals, right? So just imagine a CMO or a CEO when you go to them and say something like this, they'll be like, yeah, sure.
Sounds right.
Yeah, sounds right, but yeah, do it for us. And so yeah, it's not easy to execute exactly, but it's easy in terms of the components that are at the top level of the strategy.
And on that note as well, it's like people could say, sorry to cut you before that
ruined
slide,
you ruined it all.
That looked impressive, the matrix and everything. In fact, this is great time.
Yeah, no, put it out.
This is the deja vu scene of the slides.
Yeah, just.
There might be an argument against why. Okay, so if it's not easy to build links, why is it seen as a legit SEO strategy? Why is it expected of us as a business to do this if link building is a legit strategy? But it's like, if you are a legit business and if you are a well-rounded and established organization, you're going to have different people within that organization that are going to specialize in things that you just can't do as one person. But you're going to have one person specialize in PR and have all the contacts of who's going to spread certain rumors and things about your organization and where you're going to get exposure. You're going to have one person who specializes in the accounting and the software that goes along with that, and so you're going to have different people who specialize in all of that. And SEO is a similar thing. It's like you're going to have one person who specializes in the content that goes on your site because that's how you're presented as a company. But then you're also going to have someone who specializes in the hosting behind the site, how that site stays live, and how you're protected against DDoS attacks and stuff like that. It's a similar thing like with the link building. You're going to have one person who is representing you and trying to get the word out there, the product out there for other people to try, or trying to get people to see the information that you got on your site, and hey, this is a really cool thing for you guys to talk about on your site, or maybe we can do a little collab with you. Oh, here's a link as part of the collab. There's going to be specialists to do that.
Yeah,
but not all organizations are big enough and are robust enough to do that themselves. and it's actually a lot more cost effective to have a specialist agency, well, like the Search Initiative.
Shameless.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just like how it's important to have an agency like Empire Flippers if you're thinking of selling a site, because they got the links to do it, you know.
That's an honorable plug. Honorable plug.
So yeah, that would explain that, because I've had that point as well. It's like, well, if links are so difficult, why is it bloody, you know, why is it expected of me as a business owner? It's like,
I just want to touch one last thing on what you said there. You know, most of the people out there watching, if they're the e-commerce store owner, they're usually a solo person, whatever. And a really useful tip, at least that I found in delegating, if you have like no interest in learning SEO, is just know the terms, like know the basic terms of what something means, like a backlink or a canonical, and then go hire someone like the Search Initiative. So when they tell you this stuff, like, you have a basic understanding of it. And so when you go and delegate it out, you have a basic method to tell them what to do for you, right? And you understand what they're doing for you. But outside of that, you don't need to dive too deep into it if you are hiring like a third party like Search Initiative to do that. But I find a lot of people, they're like, exactly what you guys just said, like, we gotta build these canonicals, all this stuff. And then the business owner's like, I have no idea what this means. I'm just going to shut this service down because I don't know what it means. I'm afraid of that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Greg. We were having a chat about this the other day, man. Do you remember? We were saying how, like, if you're a manager, if you're in a managerial position, or if you're a leader, you're going to be good at knowing about all the different elements that are part of the strategy or the general action plan that you want to take place to get to where you want to get to, but you're not going to be so good at knowing the intricacies behind how they're delivered and the little tiny, you know, the actual specific executables. You're not going to really know much about that, but you're going to know about it. You're going to know how it works. You're going to know who's bullshitting you and who's not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but I think you're totally right.
I think from the managerial position and point of view, you shouldn't really even need to know all these little things, right? As long as you know the basic terminology, and you know how things work in very general, right? Because otherwise, it would be a waste of your time. And I'm sure business owners can allocate their resources, especially their own time, into things that will bring them, will be for them more beneficial than them sitting there and doing SEO or looking at the code in the website and putting the canonicals in, right? And obviously, especially that first off, all they would have to learn how to do it, right? And what the hell that thing is, right? So yeah, so the next slide really tells us what we actually do, SEO. So yeah, we look at things
worth the wait.
Yeah, this is exactly right. And it's quite funny how friends ask me still to fix their computers. I'm like, look, I'm a programmer, I'm an SEO, fuck off. I can build you a website for you, not like bloody reinstall your Windows.
Get this antivirus off my computer. Go to page 2
Raph,
of Google.
You work in IT, don't you? You work in IT. Oh yeah, you know about it. No, I don't work in IT. Oh, you work with Google. Oh.
Yeah.
I actually don't.
No, I can find this.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, that was just for fun. The meme.
Okay. I thought you were going to go deeper into the meme. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, not really. So yeah, let's look at a few strategies, and especially the things that online businesses and especially e-commerce websites do wrong. But before we do that, and this is an open question to you guys, because I actually treat Fulfilled by Amazon, as long as they have their own website or their own platform that they sell on, I treat them as e-commerce websites, like pure and simple, straight to the point e-commerce, nothing else. I don't really distinguish these as anything different, right? Obviously, it's different when you're selling on Amazon themselves, right? But Greg, you'll know that's probably the best Is that right? How I categorize it?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think e-commerce is like the bigger picture of what your FBA business could be. And a lot of FBA entrepreneurs, they get just stuck on Amazon, and they're like, volcanoes of cash coming out, and we tell them, hey, you should diversify off of Amazon. They're like, no, this is just so easy. I'm going to make way more money. And then policy change, can't put it into the warehouse. And then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't build a business that only has one traffic channel. Yeah, but like, even if someone just sells on FBA, like on Amazon, they could build out the website, like what you're just saying with e-commerce, and benefit from all the SEO traffic. And when that SEO traffic comes to their website and they go to Amazon, they could use Amazon affiliate links to double dip. But when they buy that product, Amazon will love that, because they love it if you're bringing outside traffic to buy your listing. So you'll actually rise up in the Amazon organic search as well.
Yeah. Okay. There's 5 little pointers there on the left. Right. So what we've just said, if you've got a website that sells e-commerce, if it contains products, obviously e-commerce, and if it's available on the internet, e-commerce, and obviously if it gets organic traffic. So FBAs can tick all these boxes, right? And a little honorable mention, I think, I know, and people are specializing in doing SEO on Amazon itself as well, right? We don't really specialize in that. We don't offer that service. We've looked at it, and we might rethink that if Amazon keeps growing as it is, because it's a huge search engine in itself, other than just a marketplace, right? But you can definitely do SEO on Amazon as well, right? Not necessarily the strategies that I'm going to mention, but it's a search engine overall. Same as Facebook. So Facebook is also a search engine, right? Okay, but a few things that I wanted to show. So,
right to move to this slide?
Yes. Okay. See, we already had this connection. That was too quick, no?
Flawless.
Yeah, we already have this connection. We already have this connection. Mind share. Kind of thing. Okay, but let's have a look at a few mistakes, like the common mistakes that e-commerce websites make, right? So first of all, a slow website. And I randomly picked a website about tea, because I was just, buying tea online. And I checked its page speed, and it's 9 out of 100, right? And it even says, by the way, the tool that I'm using to check page speed is actually Google Page Speed Insights. That's what it's called. So it's a tool supplied by Google. And one other thing is that a few years back, Google actually confirmed officially that page speed is actually a ranking factor, right? It's one of those confirmed ranking factors. So it's really a no-brainer to optimize your website page, your website speed, right? And even just leaving SEO aside, just think if you click on something on the shop, and then it takes ages for the next page or the product to load. It's terrible user experience. If you are patient enough to wait for it, it's just bad user experience. If you're impatient like me, you just bugger off and go to your competitor, right? And that's how you're losing clients.
Real quick on that, most e-commerce entrepreneurs I know, they're using like Google Ads or Facebook ads, and just doing this will improve your ads as well. Because exactly what you just said, if someone clicks on an ad, they're already predisposed to say no, usually, because no one wants to be sold on an ad, and that site doesn't load quick. They're like, no, I'm out. I was interested, not interested anymore. So not only does it help your SEO, obviously, but it will help everything, like you just said.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next slide.
Do you reckon that impacts your quality score as well for ads?
On Google Ads?
I think it does.
It does. Yeah, I think it does. I think it
wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's one of the factors that Google takes into consideration in the quality score. actually, as far as I remember, but obviously I'm not the Google Ads guy. Okay, another thing is I hope you guys can see it actually, because the screenshot here is a little slow. But
sorry.
So yeah, what we've got here, the issue, we call it bloated Google Index, or basically shit that Google goes through and harvests and keeps. Okay, and what I did there, I quickly found a website that has all the sort tags indexed, right? So you know how on e-commerce you can usually sort by price, whether ascending order or descending order. You can sort by popularity and stuff like that, right? And so I've seen so many e-commerce sites, online shops and whatnot, that don't block Google from actually going and indexing and seeing all these pages, right? And you might ask, why is it important for Google not to see those pages that are just sorted? Well, first of all, Google uses something that they call crawl budget, right? And crawl budget is basically the time that Google will spend getting to know your website, right? Crawling and indexing it, right? And since Google doesn't have unlimited resources, even though they have massive resources, they're not unlimited, right? So obviously Google tries to manage their resources effectively, and it's using crawl budget to know how long it should spend, or what maximum time it should spend on your website, right? So if you allow Google to crawl and see all these pages that are virtually the same, the only thing that they are different in is how they organize the product, then Google will see, first of all, a bunch of random sites, random pages that are exactly the same, but the ordering, and it will see them multiple times, right? So it's clearly wasting the crawl budget and the time that Google wants to spend or should spend on your website, right? And the next slide, it's pretty similar. I just wanted to show you that this price ascending parameter here produced 119,000 of pages that Google crawled and indexed. And on the next slide, we've got another example. Oh, sorry, you went one ahead.
Whoops.
Okay.
Is that the right one?
Yeah, and here we've got the opposite price sorting method, price descending, right? And that's additionally to those 119,000 produced another 91,000 pages, right? So just think about that, right? And the best way for me to say if Google is probably hitting the threshold of the scroll budget is by looking at how many products you have. Let's say you have 100,000 products, right? So you should basically have, category pages on top of that, blah, blah, blah. So you would estimate, I would estimate that you can have like around 120,000 valuable pages that Google should see, right? If you add on top of that all these sorting in different directions and stuff, and by different things, in here you can produce like hundreds of thousands of pages that are pretty much useless for Google, right? They might be useful for the users, right? So don't just delete all these pages, or don't remove the ability for the users to sort the products, right? But block it from Google, right? Okay, and the next slide. So we're there. This is just an example of a different website, and this is how I can tell that a site has some issues with Google indexing it. Here we have again like sorting parameter, but what I highlighted down the bottom is an information that Google basically has already shown the pages that it thinks are valuable, and it hid all the rest, right? So what it means is Google decided for you that all these other pages are not really worth showing in the search results, right? So this is something that we technically in SEO call supplementary index. So basically Google keeps and wants to show to the user only the good stuff that it keeps in the primary index, and then all the rest that it kind of like don't want to keep, then it's dropping it into a supplementary index. Okay, next slide, please. There we go. Now the third issue, I think this is perhaps one of the biggest issues that I see, or the most common that I see on the websites, and I used ASOS as an example. I'm not sure, is ASOS also available in the US, or is it?
Yeah,
it is. Okay,
yeah,
so
pretty sure.
Okay, so we've got a massive brand, probably with tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing budget per month, right? That has such a basic SEO mistake, right? So what I did here, I highlighted a little brand description. This is from a product page, and in the next slide. There we go. And what I did, I searched it only for the ASOS.com site. This is a little operator when you want to search just within that site, you put site colon and the domain name, and after that I pasted that brand description, and it came up with 411 results, right? So that means that ASOS is basically using that same brand description on 411 product pages, right? In the scale of ASOS, it might not be a lot, right? Because obviously they've got a lot of products, but it happens every so often and very often on the normal sites of brands that aren't ASOS size, right? And if you have duplicate content, you're not going to get away with that easily, right? Unfortunately for Google, well, not for Google, for us actually, Google prioritizes or prefers the big brands in terms of how it treats the technical side of their websites, right? So what I mean by that is Google would look at the brands and its website, and if it's a really big brand, it will kind of, so all these other ranking factors would kind of excuse some of the technical mistakes for this brand, for this brand's website, right? Whereas obviously it doesn't work if your site isn't as popular or isn't that well known of a brand, right? So especially for the smaller companies and smaller websites, we really need to pay more attention to these little things, all things that actually seem little but aren't actually that little in terms of SEO, right?
You reckon for a site as big as ASOS, if they improve even these little things that don't really have that aren't as significant if you compare it to the rest of their sites, all their products, like you were saying, do you reckon if they improved on all these things, it would make much of a difference for them?
That's a great question, and I think yes, of course, right? The ASOS website. Well, I hope ASOS marketing or SEO guys aren't going to hate me for that, but
they're watching that. They watch this channel.
Yeah, hopefully they watch. If you're watching, someone from ASOS, if someone from ASOS is watching, we do consultations. So
and one-time audit as well.
One-time audit, no problem.
I actually like using their websites as as a counter example how not to do SEO basically. Because their on-site is so shit. I can't believe
You're definitely going to win them as a client now.
Wow.
Yeah, no, but honestly, that's like, yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible the way they do filtering. It's terrible how they use faceted navigation for all the product variations and stuff. It's just fucking shit, honestly. And okay, so we're not, slaying ASOS SEO guys. I've worked with sites like this, and sometimes, it's just not possible to fix those issues because of the engine behind the site, right? So if it's on a really old engine, like fucking 30 years old.
Good old tech debt.
Which in internet terms would be like fucking 5 centuries old. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes you have an engine that just doesn't allow these things to fix, or you'd have to pay more to get them fixed. And the old engine, rather in opposite to just getting the bloody site to rebuild, right? So maybe that's this. Maybe they're very capable people, and they're just dealing with stubborn website. Okay, anyway.
Covered your tracks really well, Rad. Good covering your tracks.
Yeah. Go back for 1 second. It was it's the last example of duplicate content. So, and this is again something I found in like 5 minutes, and it's so fucking popular on the internet on e-commerce websites. Why would you have a page that says nothing else but product not found in the index, right? I came across this, I think, Indian designers, clothing designer site, and they have so many products that are not found. And the thing is, Google wants to crawl this page. Your product might not exist, but if you don't protect your website from, or don't protect Google from keeping this old page with non-existent product that just says product not found from indexing, then Google will just keep it. It will just remember it, right? And this example here shows, product not found, 72,000 results within that one domain, right? And I don't think this site has that many products overall. I think it's actually got more pages indexed with information that the product is not found on actual products, right? So it's again, for an SEO, it's a really easy fix, right? But if you're a site owner and you don't know about it, you wouldn't even find it. And I don't think those guys are doing it on purpose of keeping all these product not found pages, right?
If you guys don't have this on your agency site, you should definitely do a blog post about the product not found page, because I have seen those on e-commerce stores all the time as well. I'm not even trying to analyze them. I just run across them. So.
Yeah, and it's just bad when you can find them on Google, right? Yeah. Okay, next slide. So what we've got here, empty pages. This is pretty similar to product not found. It's just at least the other site had some products on that page, whereas that one has nothing, right? And if you look at how many results it's got on the next slide, I again looked only within that one domain. Slide.
I think it takes a second to load if you're watching on the YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, well, I told you before, I'm a very impatient person.
I'm glad we're working with a software I rarely use.
Yeah. Okay, so I looked at this exact little information that came up on that page that I found within that domain, and again, we've got like 41 results that Google shouldn't really even see, not even to mention index it and keep it in the index and allow people to find them, right? And again, a pretty easy fix, or I actually found what was causing that issue. So if we could switch over to the next slide.
Yep.
Patience.
If you remain in the Be Live tab, you'll see it automatically.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So no matching products available, and that was caused because they have this complex filtering system that they allow users to use, and obviously it all makes sense, right? But it allows really weird combinations of the options here. Right, so let's say, for example, you go for blue sapphire, as the option, and then combine it with diamond shape, hard, and then total weight 0 to 2 grams and 50% and above on sale, right? This would most definitely return no product, right? And this is exactly the information that is shown on those pages that I found. They're just returning empty page, right? So instead of doing that, you should probably rethink all the combinations, how the filters work, or allow users to pick one combination at a time, and then just check what other products with what you've already chosen as a filter are available, and only allow those additional options from the available products to be selected. It all makes sense, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I actually think that was
I wasn't being sarcastic.
That was a really long sentence. That does make sense though. If it doesn't,
if the audience doesn't know, they'll ask a question.
Yeah. Could you repeat what you said about filters? Fuck off. No. Oh shit, I can't.
Oh, speaking of, I can't see the audience questions on the right. I don't know if...
No one has asked one yet because we mentioned
okay.
the Q&A at the end. I'm just saying that
okay.
Hopefully someone will ask a question at the end. I have a few questions. So
yeah, I'll be like, okay, and the last mistake that I see very often on e-com sites is what I called, just for this presentation, it's not a term we're using, I called it snippets not featured, because what we call those little stars and things that come up in the search results, like rating and votes and price and stuff, all these are called featured snippets, right? So obviously, pages or sites that don't have those implemented, they're not going to stand out on the SERP, right? And if you change to the next slide, I highlighted the same search result page, but without featured snippet. And to be honest with you, I couldn't even see that Amazon one, even though it ranked second. I was like, my eyes were like really skimming over all this, and I didn't notice it until I actually saw, okay, so this one hasn't got featured snippet, right? Because we're becoming so used to all these ratings and some other things that just show up in the search results. We start to intuitively search for them, right? And basically just skip over the results that don't have them, right? So featured snippets are actually really important. And again, one of the cases that I'm going to show you in just a second actually does the strategy heavily relied on re-implementing featured snippets within the site, or regaining the rich search results. Okay, but overall, and this is the approach that Matt Dickey also always talks about, and what we use at the agency in terms of the SEO, do all the things, right? Because you want to basically make your website as bulletproof against Google algorithm updates as possible, right? So by doing all the things, even if they seem, less important than something else, still fix them if it's feasible to fix them, right? Don't just leave them out there. Don't just neglect them, right? Obviously prioritize things that work best and work, will give you a better buck for your time, or whatever this saying is. But yeah, do all the things, no matter how small they are. And this is what we're trying to do at the agency, at the Search Initiative, right? Sometimes, we're like 8 months into the campaign and we're still fixing some small on-site issues, right? And it's not because we just forgot about them or overlooked them. in the first few months. It's just because we're trying to fix all the things basically, right? So we don't. So later down the line, when Google changes something in the algorithm, we don't have to, sit there and cry in the corner why this site has tanked, right? And frankly, the last core update that was in May, we've only got a few clients that whose sites actually dipped. Like, I would say majority, like 90-something% of the clients' sites have actually increased in rankings, right, or stayed the same. So the algo update didn't actually affect them or helped them, right? And this is all because we're actually fixing all the things on this site. Right, so now the 3 cases that I wanted to show you. Case number 1 is about how we got almost 64% increase in traffic over 10 months that the client was with us. So what we've got here, we are dealing with the site that is an affiliate site with online courses. So they basically monetize the site through people clicking to clicking through the course sites, and they're signing up, right? They get a commission, right? That site had a lot of free content just to attract traffic. And it was really well written by experts in the niche, but this wasn't the point where they would monetize the traffic, right? So they had quite a bit of traffic, but obviously had to monetize it and build and already had niche authority, right? Next one. So the challenges that we had here, because it was in the online course niche, there were a lot of competitors with much higher authority, right? And in this niche, sometimes you're actually competing against your own against the sites that you're affiliated with, right? So let's say you're advertising courses on Udemy. Udemy will actually also rank for those keywords, right? So and Udemy's got way higher authority than your own site, most probably, right? So that was pretty a big challenge. Now the competitors were also much longer established sites. This website had keyword cannibalization, which is a term we use for what Raf said earlier, actually, having 3 pages within your site or more that are actually worth of ranking for one specific keyword, right? So obviously those pages that are optimized and are targeting that one keyword would start competing against each other, and basically cannibalizing each other. Right, so this is keyword cannibalization, right? And the last one was one of the issues that I mentioned earlier, or similar to one of the most common SEO mistakes. It had thin content in Google Index. Are we waiting for this slide or?
It should be up.
No, I was wondering if you changed it already and we're waiting for the slide or waiting for you, Greg.
No, I was right on point there. I was right on point.
Yeah.
There must be a lag. There must be a lag.
Yeah. I'm sure you were. I mean, I'd never doubt it. Okay, so this is on-site and technical checklist. So we fixed all of these things. I'm not going to go into details around these, but this is again like an example where we actually fix all the things or as many as possible, right? If we change to the next slide.
Right.
The reduction of ads thing is quite an interesting one. Just to point that out. Because reduction of ads is quite an important part, but then you don't want to reduce it too much, because then that can affect conversion rates. There was quite an interesting webinar and case study that Matt Diggity actually did not too long ago, where he showed what difference he actually tested it out, and he showed what difference it made when you added some ads. It actually increased conversions. And his theory was that actually it's probably because people know that the most established sites have some ads on them. So it's like a common thing to see. So it makes them, it's kind of, funnily enough, it's like a trust building factor, just as long as they're placed in the right place.
The other thing that's funny about display ads, at least in an affiliate context, which, a lot of people on here probably are affiliates, they're afraid to add those display ads because they think it'll take away from their affiliate revenue. And I have never seen that. 4 years at EF, whenever we have a display ad site and affiliate site, never seen the affiliate revenue impacted by that. I'm sure it has happened, but yeah.
I guess for the most part it doesn't, and that's what was proven in that case that Matt put forward in his webinar, which is really interesting.
It definitely was really interesting. I remember, because I actually watched it a couple of days ago, and I was like a bit baffled with the results.
Yeah, me too, man. I was like, no way.
But then I was like, well, it does actually make sense, because if you look at well, maybe not the Guardian or Mirror online, but like actual, BBC or New York Times or stuff, they obviously have ads, right?
Yeah.
And they have in, kind of those specific places that we start getting used to with. And, it does make sense that we subconsciously could start trusting the site a little bit more, right? The problem with this specific case was, however, that they basically overloaded the site with the ads, right? So we had to actually cut it down, because if you had and I'm not being funny, but there were pages that had 3 ads, one under the other, right, in the middle of content, right? So I was like, oh, I'm not sure if that's actually helping with the conversion.
The ad is the content. The ad is the content.
Yeah. But other than those strategies and checklists that I mentioned, the few that were really interesting were relating the backlink profile of the site, right? And a few slides back, I mentioned that this site had competitors that were longer established in the niche and were more authoritative, right? So what we started focusing on here was link building, right? And before we did that, because we do link building through organic or natural outreach at the agency, and we prepared a few so-called linkable assets in terms of the infographics. So we could use them and approach sites, offering this infographic for free. So, then we could get a link in exchange, right? Now, also we've written pretty good outreach content. So a lot of people out there would say that, the content that is, surrounding your link or is on your guest post isn't really that much of a problem, or doesn't really matter that much, right? Whereas I say, well, sure it does, right? Why would you want to have a link from gibberish content, right? Or something like that, or content that is, not that great, right? Obviously, the quality is less important than the content on your own site, which is quite clear that, your content is the most important, but, the content you have around your own links, obviously Google should, treat that and understand it better and like it more, right? Because it's all about quality, right? And I'm not talking, about bad quality content in terms of, a couple of spelling mistakes. Actually, it's quite interesting, but I think John Mueller from Google actually said that they don't take spelling mistakes or things like this into consideration, because through BERT and natural language processing, Google algorithm can actually understand the context of the content without actually the content being written 100% by an English native writer, right? So if there were some spelling mistakes, it's fine, right? What I mean, like with the outreach content is actual quality of the content, right? Make it good, make it interesting, make it read worthy, right? And then Google will just like it more, right? And the next thing is that was still kind of like the preparation phase. We performed a full backlink audit, right? And I'm pretty sure you've heard of those stories, Greg, that someone bought the site, obviously not from Empire Flippers, but from someone else, and then a couple of months later the site tanked, right? And this is because someone was using not very reliable, to put it mildly, techniques to gather links, and obviously it all went to shit, right? So for most of our clients, we do a full backlink audit in the first couple of months of the campaign, right? Because we need to see all the links, analyze all the links, look at the domains, and then if something is like a bit dodgy or completely dodgy, like sites with Viagra and stuff, right? Then we just disavow or remove those links if possible, and do a checkup like this, right? And for this client, we actually did remove quite a few very old and natural links that were like just literally fucking hideous, right? They were terrible, right? From porn sites and some pirate software that was actually stealing some user data from computers, stuff like that. So it was really bad, right? And obviously you can't always say, oh, that was my ex SEO agency, although you always want to blame it on your ex. But it could be like a bot put those links up or something, right? And it's you just need to clean that up, right? And again, if you're if you're a site owner, you might not know these links are there, that they even exist, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing we did here, while we were actually reviewing the backlink profile, we performed the competitor analysis. So we actually found a lot of opportunities for our own outreach by looking at what links the competitors were getting, right? And then rolled out the outreach strategy with the anchor text plan, and listed all these opportunities that we could actually snatch from the competitors as well. That was quite funny and very fulfilling, because you always like snatching things from the competitors, don't you? And it's got some branded mentions as well. Now, once we rolled all of this out, these are the results. So if we could go to the next slide.
Real quick, while that slide's loading, we got our first comment here from Commit. He or she is telling you need a better mic, Rad. So I have an affiliate link to this ATR mic right here.
Yeah, boy.
Like, just to be clear again for everyone out there in the audience, these two are only wearing EF shirts because I forced them to. They don't work for me. The real criticism here is, why can't Greg afford a better webcam?
You know what? Nah, it's all right. It's good enough.
I'm just going to blame it on the software.
That's right.
Put that
100% the software
link to the mic in the description for this video, yeah?
Go to thesearchinitiative.com/Greg's affiliate link. You guys have to set up after this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I'll look at it.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of the results, this site's gone way up. Almost 400% of the users' growth. I see the chat actually. Cool.
It's laughing at us now. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So I'm actually quite pissed off because this isn't a cheap mic as well. So I really need to.
This is totally a tangent, but I bought a Blue Yeti 2 years ago or something like that, and it was too good. I could hear like the people upstairs like eating, like or like catching little echoes of it. Like I'm gonna have to downgrade again.
Oh man.
I hope my.
I got the wireless from OnePlus.
Yeah.
These like phone wireless phone speakers. I thought, hopefully they'll do the job.
Yeah. Right. Could we flip to?
Yes. Sorry.
Right, so first 5 months. Oh, wait for it to load. First 5 months versus last 5 months of this campaign. 70% or 64%, close to 70, close enough. Percent in the organic sessions growth. Half more of the users. And new users as well. Pretty good results. And the last one.
I'm assuming you mean next slide. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and overall the traffic increased from 87.5K in the first 5 months. It was in total for the 5 months, up to 143,556 in the last 5 months, right? So also considering that we're already working within those first 5 months, that gives you an idea of how this period was working out, right? Now, case number 2, 27% really quick results in vaping niche. I need to catch up with my slides here on the side. Yeah, so obviously the site competing in the vaping niche. For all the viewers that are in the niche, they know it's really difficult. One of the most difficult ones that I actually came across, and the competitors are sometimes really savage in that niche as well. The site was actually ranking pretty well in SERPs for some high volume keywords, but the client joined us in September of last year, shortly after their site actually tanked due to one of the core algorithm updates, right? So if we look at the technical and offsite checklist on the next slide, this is again just a summary. By no means these are all the things that we executed on the site and we fixed on the site, right? I just highlight those that had, let's say, the biggest impact on the results and the recovery as well. So you can probably have a look at them later, but now the actual strategies that we deployed. First of all, we did I would say very unique approach to post-algorithm analysis, which we use Google Search Console for, and basically compare like 2 weeks prior to the week that the update taken place, or the update taken place. We compare them with 2 weeks after 2 weeks that the update has taken place, right? So that basically means that we kind of wait for the update to fully roll out before we actually take an action. And I'd like to emphasize this because it's quite important to actually not just jump the gun and do something, very quickly, while Google is still adjusting the update that it's just released, because you can just mess things up, right? And I'm not a big fan of analyzing the update while it's still rolling out, right? Google says, oh yeah, we've started releasing core algorithm update, and a few hours later or the day later you'll have self-proclaimed SEO heroes and masters that come up with, oh yeah, I know what this update was about. Tough shit, nothing, right? Because like you can't know what the update is about, just a few hours or a couple of days after it started to take action, right? after it started to be released, right? Google is taking a bit slow with these, and it's actually adjusting and something rolling back some of the things that it's released. So just don't do that too early, right? Now, so what we did, we actually found in this case study is really important, because this post-algo Armageddon analysis, through this analysis, we found that actually a lot of the keywords that the client was ranking for, they lost featured snippets, right? So they were still ranking pretty high, so the position didn't change significantly. It was just that they lost the position 0 result, right, with the instant answer, right? And to fix that, we performed a full content gap analysis for the core pages that were affected the most. We did a content quality check on those pages that were affected. We did SERP language and SERP intent analysis, and that was basically the crucial part to the recovery, because you can't fix things if you don't know what's ranking for some of these keywords, right? This analysis was actually quite extensive, and we actually looked at like a lot of keywords to come up with actual findings for that. But it paid off, which I'll show you in a second. We did some EAT improvements. I'm not sure if that helped, but it was something that usually I've actually never seen it diminish your rankings or do anything bad for you. So we improved authority of the site, and we did some internal link improvements as well, just to help out with the distribution of the page rank and how quickly Google was seeing the changes, right? And like I said, on-site big win for this site was featured snippets, and I'm showing you one here. I'm sure the guys watching us have seen these before. And if we just go to the next slide, because it's quite similar, what's quite important to understand is that Google would look at the user intent behind the keyword or set of keywords to actually decide whether or not your site should be worth ranking for that keyword, and if it should come up, especially if it should come up under position 0, right? So it's not necessarily a keyword by keyword analysis, right? You're looking at the page and at the topics and intent behind the topics for this, and try to adjust the intent of your page to the intent that Google is showing in the search results. And it's also, what's quite interesting, Google would change the intent behind SERPs sometimes even a couple of times a year, right? So if you look at a set of keywords or a page that suddenly lost a few rankings, a few positions, but it basically tanked in traffic, what I would suggest is, first of all, look at the intent that this page is delivering for those keywords, for this keyword vertical, right? And then just results here quickly. We actually re-ranked this site, right? So not re-ranked because it didn't lose many positions, but we recovered all like 100% of the traffic within I think it was like 3 months or something like that, from September to December, so 4 months in total, right? And 80% of that we returned through the featured snippets, 15% through new content that we started creating, and 5%, obviously this is all kind of estimated because we were doing a lot of these things at the same time, but I would say 5% was returned through the internal linking that we implemented, because the site had like orphan pages and stuff like that. I hope viewers know what orphan pages are.
Don't worry, if they don't know, they're gonna hire you guys.
Yeah, it's hard to not use the jargon if this is like the only language basically.
I understand.
And to explain all those terms live,
It's a funny one, isn't it? Orphaned pages. That was one of the funnier ones that I learned.
Why
For those who
would you
don't know,
say
an
orphans
orphan
are
page.
funny?
Sorry.
Why do you say orphans are funny?
That's not a disclaimer. That is not what I was saying.
Yeah, I'm just teasing you.
For those who don't know, an orphan page is basically a page that isn't being internally linked to within the site. It's just there, just on its own, just alone, crying in the corner.
You build some beautiful imagery, Raf.
Yeah, is that? Yeah, I mean, hopefully that paints the picture.
Yeah. Okay. Last case that I wanted to present today: 112% increase in revenue over 8-month period, and I think this one will be specifically interesting because we're talking money, first of all, and secondly because the site was an e-commerce website, right? It was an e-commerce website positioned in a very small business-to-business furniture niche, right? They were selling furniture and actually hiring equipment related to furniture. I can't reveal too much without actually exposing the client because the niche is so small. And it was a UK website marketing very specific locations. So they weren't targeting. They were just targeting regional keywords and regional markets, right? And it's also something to emphasize. Before joining the agency, the search initiative, the client didn't really treat SEO as a priority. So, since they were still in kind of this startup stage, they were like, yeah, no, we've got so many other expenses that we need to do, and the SEO isn't really important. Then they joined us, and actually, since they saw really good results, we're going to go over them in a second. They were like, whoa, this SEO thing is like actually paying off, and it was worth the investment, right? So that's something I mentioned earlier, and I want to reiterate again that once you have your business established, and just don't wait too long. You have your business mind, your perspective, website that is worth something. Just try to do SEO as soon as possible. Whether it's a consultation that we obviously offer, product placement, or because what it is, we don't take projects on if we don't think this is the right timing for that project.
Yeah.
Right. So we would sometimes turn around and say, hey, so it's great that you want to pay us, X amount of money every month, but how about you pay us that just once now? We'll give you everything that you need to fix. We can actually later on, quote you and help you fixing some of these things, right? But don't pay us every month for now, right? Just do this implementation. This is going to, help you hit the ground running. And then, once it matures, once the site is slightly more matured and ready for the service, then, we'll gladly work with you again, right? Okay, so we had this offsite, technical and offsite checklist up here for a little while, again, just as a reference, because there was a lot of things, again, that we looked at. And, since I was talking about bloated index and some other things, again, all part of the fix all the things or do all the things mantra. Now, the actual strategies that we deployed that I think were the most beneficial for this campaign, we improved user experience because, other than you're having an e-commerce site that, needs to sell products, you would also like, more products sold for the less number of clients, right? So, and to achieve that, which is, as far as I remember, conversion rate, to improve conversion rate, you would look at improving your user experience, right? Secondly, we looked at the content strategy. It was like really, really well optimized content for the algorithm, and we produced, I think, only 2 pieces of content every month. Again, we improved authority of the site. and e-commerce content and the user intent behind some of the category and product pages. Now, having said that, because the site had a pretty big number of products, wasn't going in hundreds of thousands, but they had a few hundred of products, we still performed a page-by-page product and category page analysis, right? And this was kind of a key element in approaching in aligning the user intent for all these pages with what Google was expecting. Right, and again, something that I mentioned a couple of times before, the internal link building. Now, the results. Right, and this is great. I'll start from the bottom because that's probably like the biggest wow for us, even for us. When we asked the clients, how much we helped them impact their business, we actually helped them increase it from around 33K a month to 91K a month. So it's like 48,000 extra a month, right? So just for all the viewers out there, just think, how would that impact your business if you basically doubled your profit?
Right? Real quick on that, like from a valuation perspective, 43K, like if you're going to sell that e-commerce store with us, that would be close to a 7-figure business. And that jump from 43 to 91, that's literally the difference between almost a 7-figure business to almost a $2 million business, or maybe even a $2 million business that you could sell with us. So like that work you did with that client, that's huge. All from SEO, so huge stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, this campaign wasn't the easiest. It was actually really tricky and time consuming because we had to like go over so many pages one by one and adjust their individual intents, the intent for the individual pages. But that was the actual niche, right? I've never actually seen a niche where Google would treat pretty much each product name kind of differently or slightly different, right? But yeah, other than that, increase in users, increase in sessions, it was a huge a big margin product. So even though there weren't that many users a month, still, we managed to pull that off, and that was great, right? And now, so if we were to summarize and talk about the key takeaways from all of this, from the presentation. Oh, don't tell me I did I did the animation here. Sorry about that.
You have 4 points?
A 7.
Ah, good. Oh, the last one's all 3. Perfect.
There we go. Hey. Okay, so I would say what I said at the very beginning: treat your project as a real business, because it is a real business, right? And I think if you don't have this mindset of working in a real business and having a real business, I think you're losing out and missing out a lot on there, right? Now, like I said a few minutes earlier, I would say try to incorporate SEO into your marketing plan as soon as possible, right? If you have a website, it might not have many products or all the products that you want to have on there, but it will probably have some technical issues, right? Get a good consultant, reach out to us. Maybe we can help you with a one-time audit or something, and start working on this, right? SEO.
But to add to that, just only if you really believe that what you have to offer is valuable. Just that, that one point is so important to understand. Even if you've got very few products, if those products are shit hot, really good, then get SEO ASAP.
Yeah, I think we've been doing SEO for sites that had like only 2 products on them, and they were e-com sites, and they were doing pretty good as well.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the product, right? And on the mindset as well, right? How good are both? Now, like we said earlier, SEO is easy, despite it's not easy. I'm sure it's great. I'll just let it sink in for a while. Important thing, SEO has a huge monetary potential, right? You saw that 8 months in. I don't remember, I wouldn't want to disclose what the budget was on there, but it was a fraction of what we actually delivered in terms of the return for that last client that I showed you. So SEO is really great in terms of the monetary potential, right? Now, hire the right people who can deliver results-oriented strategies, right? So, like I said earlier, you can focus on little things and fixing little things at the very beginning, but you'd rather want to focus on things that are going to work and that are going to, bring you value, right? So hire the right people, because there are a lot of con men that can fuck things up for you, and it's quite difficult to fix those things later down the line, right? We're getting clients all the time that we're working with some, I'm not saying, dodgy SEO companies, but actually dodgy SEO companies in the past.
Well, sometimes they're not even purposely dodgy. They might have taken a course or something, and they think it's the right move. But there's so many war stories of businesses working with SEO. That's why the worst call they can get is like, "Hey, I'm an SEO." Like, goodbye.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's something that I chat to people all the time who have had a really bad job done on their site, and it's like it's important to distinguish between people who genuinely think that they're doing a good job and they think that what they're doing is going to make a difference, but unfortunately they don't have the right approach, or they don't have the right resources to do things properly, or they don't have the confidence to charge as much as they need to charge in order to do a good job, because SEO isn't cheap, but it's not expensive, so a lot of the time it's not their fault, but at the same time it is kind of their fault, because if you don't feel that you have the right confidence and prowess and resource to do a good job, I really don't think that you should offer it out as a service. But again, it's easy for me to say that, but a lot of people, it's
no one become my competitor. The director of sales at Search Initiative.
Okay. Now, a few things that we did on these sites, they brought a lot of, they brought really big wins, even though we didn't really spend that much time on them. I'm not saying the issues were small. We just weighed out, what was going to bring the biggest impact, and we went after that. The fix was fairly easy, and then everything started, turning green or lighting green in our SERP monitoring software, right? So sometimes little efforts can bring you really big wins in SEO. SEO is weird like this, right? Like I said, it's easy, but it's difficult, and big things, but big wins, but small things. And then I said, fix small things, don't waste your time. It's like weird like this, but because it's weird like this, again, our mantra: do all the things, right? Know how to prioritize, know where to put your resources, and do all the things eventually, right? Because this is going to strong arm you against Google updates. And that's it.
Real quick before we go into like a Q&A thing, that small win thing, like just recently at Empire Flippers, we released our new marketplace. And before it went live, I decided to do a pagination. So we have like a drop down where you choose like drop shipping or Amazon FBA or whatever. And when they click that, it goes to a new URL. I mean, it took us not that long to do this. It was like a day's worth of work because we were working on it anyways. But since I've done that, now we're ranking in all of these awesome keywords for like Amazon FBA businesses for sale, e-commerce businesses for sale, affiliate sites for sale. the FBA one is kind of annoying because it's also ranking for online businesses for sale. I want the whole marketplace to rank for that one, but whatever.
Your cannibalization,
Yeah. So it wasn't like a perfect thing, but like just that small change led to a huge boost in buyer traffic to us. So
definitely, 100%.
Well,
cool. So this
you might as well also mention the little challenge that Tim Solo gave you as well. About what was it? How to make money online?
Yeah.
Right, you'll be interested in this. Tim Solo challenged Greg to rank Empire Flippers for how to make money online.
I brought it on myself. Like I reached out to Tim. Like I wanted his advice because we have a high DR. And I just out of curiosity, I put in the keyword tool, how to make money online. There's like 104,000 searches a month. Like, hey, there's a DR73 site here ranking for this. We're a DR72. I think we could rank for this. So I reached out to Tim, like, hey man, what do you think about this? And he like kind of laughed at me, and he's like, so I was like, why are you laughing at me? Are you like making fun of me, Tim? He's like, no, I think you could do it. You're not going to rank for it this year. I was like, so you're saying there's a chance? He's like, yes. Like, how much are we going to bet on this? So now I have my team. Like, I want them to build out a backlink building machine for me, so I can like make this keyword. But on a personal note, just like ranking that for that keyword would be so like full circle for me, because the very first thing I ever Googled when I got into online business, like when I was in 8th grade, was how to make money online, right? Like, now I own this keyword.
Now you want to rank for it, yeah. Well, Rad, man. Get Rad involved, shit. Rad.
We're going to bring you in. You're bringing the big guns.
Help your brother out, man.
I got to beat Tim.
Did you say it was going to be a fair competition? Or?
It doesn't matter. I didn't put any rules in. We can do whatever we want. As long as we prove Tim wrong, that I could do it.
I want to see it when I search that.
Tim is great, and it's actually quite difficult to prove him wrong.
I know. That's why I haven't started trying to rank for it
yet. Tim's funny, man. It's like he'll say it how it is. Like, he doesn't give a shit. Tim doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, no, I don't. That will never work. He won't even humor it. He won't. Yeah, that's a great idea. No, it just never gonna work, mate.
So we're at to the 2-hour mark. It was a long presentation, but filled with awesome stuff. So anyone on there in the audience, if you have any questions at all, feel free to put them into the little chat bar to the right, and we'll do our best to answer them. I have one question though to start it off for you guys. I come from more of the affiliate and content site background, and even like the stuff I do with EF, I would say is more akin to affiliate SEO than like e-commerce SEO. So I hear often that e-commerce SEO is very different. What are like the main things that you would say is different versus like affiliate SEO? Because some of my affiliate SEO friends, they look at e-commerce SEO, they're like, I do not want to touch that. So what are the differences there?
That's a really interesting question. First of all, I would say it's easier for me, at least, right? And
really?
For us at the agency, it's easier. We prefer actually e-commerce sites because since the size of the e-commerce site is usually bigger than a standard affiliate site or a service site. You have so many more opportunities to actually, get more traffic, to rank for the long tail keywords and whatnot, right? So it's slightly different overall. I would say the main difference is that you have so many pages that you need to really effectively measure where you're putting all the resources, right? Because if let's say you have a service page, a service site where you have like 6 services, you're probably going to rank only like 7 pages, those 6 services in the homepage, right? Whereas when you have an e-com site, you're going to have like thousands of pages that you want to rank, that you want to link, right? And you can't do that overall, right? Unless you're like Aces that fucks up their technical SEO, but they have a lot of resources for link building and big coverage. Purely because, you know, if you just went ahead and built all these links to like thousands of pages, Google would say, oh, this isn't natural, right? And then you would get yourself in trouble, right? So, you know, in e-commerce, you know, site architecture and information architecture is really important. You have to remember how how Googlebot uses the crawl budget, so you need to optimize it so it's effective in terms of, you know, how quickly it works, how quickly you can get to the core pages, the category pages, and stuff. You don't really do link building towards products. At least I don't.
Yep.
It's a site that has only a few products, then obviously that makes sense, right? But if it's a big site, we never link to products. We link to the categories or subcategories or the homepage. And if there's like a lot of categories, we use a lot of internal links. Actually, we use the term internal link building because internally with one site, Google also evaluates each page individually using their old PageRank algorithm and some additions to that that are current. And basically, you know, it's kind of like doing link building, but inside your own site, right? And you need to supplement it. So you need to supplement your link building, outside link building efforts with internal link building. It's
I think
so just to summarize quickly the difference between, you know, SEO, standard SEO, and e-commerce SEO. E-commerce SEO is more intricate, I would say, because this, you know, the weight put on technical is much bigger because you're fixing a lot more pages. And sometimes when you tackle one issue that is, you know, on all product pages, then you're basically talking about, you know, sometimes hundreds, thousands of pages, right? So it's slightly bigger, more intricate, but overall it's easier to get, you know, decent traffic on an e-com site, because once you push this flywheel a few times, it starts, you know, gathering momentum, and then it just, you know, goes on its own.
So you just proved your point with SEO being easy and not easy. E-commerce is more expensive, but it's actually easier once you understand it.
Pretty much. I think there's a lot of crossover as well.
SEO is easy, but it's not.
You should get it printed. There's a lot of crossover as well that people get kind of confused between having a standard like blog site or affiliate site or something like that. And there's a lot of tips and tricks and strategies that people share about how to rank a blog site, and they kind of cross that over and mix that over with how to rank an e-commerce site, and those same strategies don't work, like overfilling a category page with lots and lots of content, for example, because you want to make that page relevant to the certain search terms. Well, that's not necessary on an e-commerce site. You know, you can use, like Brad was saying, you can use internal linking strategies to attribute relevancy and authority to category pages. You know, you don't have to ruin the user experience. You know, the user wants to see products. They don't want to bloody see your life story about how these products came to be. And you know,
don't you assume that is my opinion? I want to see the e-commerce store's life story.
Well, I mean, you know, then I mean, you're I guess you're a special kind of guy.
I'm the kind that none of them target. I make them the least amount of money. But yeah, that's a really good point. I think there is probably quite a bit of confusion there, but with like what you're saying in terms of like having a blog versus just like going for the category pages. Like I had never actually really thought of it that way, because I don't know that much about e-commerce SEO. So that is pretty interesting for sure. We got a question here from Rad. He is saying test, it looks like.
Great question.
There's no questions. So
I think we've destroyed the audience with 2 hours of content, of technical SEO content.
You've answered them all, Rad.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't put a timer on, so I was just going.
Oh, yeah.
Good test.
Oh, thanks, Yofi.
Good test. Oh, they're still active. That's good.
Well, please Yeah.
We're going to have like
Noise.
we'll have the least engaged audience here, but everyone will go and do this, and suddenly their business goes from 41K to 93K a month. You know,
This is the thing, man. This is why I was excited for this, because it's such a natural partnership between us, between the Search Initiative and Empire Flippers, because I mean, then there's a lot of crossover of business, because people who do really good SEO with us sell their sites for much higher multiples, and then for the people who buy their sites from you as well, they are able to pump up the revenue that they make and increase the value of their site a lot better when they have SEO from us afterwards. So it's like it's a full circle relationship.
Yeah, one of the reasons I want to bring you guys on to talk about e-commerce specifically is just, from my eyes of looking on the marketplace, e-commerce stores very rarely ever do SEO. Like, at least the ones that are coming to sell on a marketplace, they're usually doing like paid ads and all that stuff, because SEO can feel complicated, ambiguous. You're not quite sure what the right move is, and it takes forever in comparison to an ad, but it's just so powerful. Like 30 or 40% of all of our traffic and the majority of our customer attribution comes from organic. That's how we were able to build $100 million plus marketplace of what we've sold. I just think it's the most underutilized, biggest opportunity there is in e-commerce, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's a shame, man, because like Rad was saying a second ago, e-commerce is like our favorite project to do SEO on. There's so much possibility. There's so much you can do with an e-commerce site, so much to play with. So if you're saying, oh my God, if you're saying that e-commerce projects usually have little to no SEO from what you're seeing, then I'm really glad that we did this webinar.
Yeah,
because it's important for people to realize.
Did you ever get to ask this ex-site owner or the seller why they didn't think about SEO?
It usually comes down to kind of what I just said. Like they think it's too complicated, or maybe they started the business and they needed money right away, so they went into just advertising right away, because that's how you're going to get the most immediate response, right? So then they're scaling their ad campaigns, but they make the mistake that most of the sellers I see is they rely on one traffic source, so they never expand outside of a different traffic source. And on the affiliate side, this is the same thing as like the Amazon affiliate guys, right? Like they never expand outside of Amazon affiliate, and then they get crushed when Amazon changes a policy. So these e-commerce people, they're just running on Facebook ads or Google ads, and they just never taken the time like to step back and like, okay, I got some revenue coming in. I'm keeping the lights on. Let's expand into SEO, which I think is a real missed opportunity on their part.
Yeah, exactly. Just as you said earlier, like, this sort of valuation with the numbers that I mentioned, it's like so much difference in terms of the end price, right?
Like that, how long was that? That was like 5 months, right? Or something like that?
That one was 8. Yeah, so 8 months. Slightly longer.
So like, let's say, like, do you know what your retainer fee was on that over the 8 months? Or did you guys have a performance, or?
I can't remember exactly. I think it was something around 3K a month.
Yeah, so
that sounds about right.
24, like less than $25,000 over a period of 8 months to add like an extra $1.2 million to your valuation. Like that's a pretty easy equation to make in your head. But when someone starts SEO, like that first month, there's like nothing, usually no results, unless they have good DR or something like that. And so they just like don't keep persevering through that like 5 or 6 months that they'll need to get around that hill. But if they do, like there is such a huge reward there for you.
And also, if they are in the business for a longer period of time, there's a high chance that they were burned by an SEO agency at some point, right?
For sure.
Raf, you've got some horror stories about things like that, right? So
for sure, man. I would go far as to say like probably about 90 to 95% of SEOs out there either are ill-equipped to do the right job for their projects, even though their intent is good, or they just are in it to just make money. They don't really care much about SEO. They just want to go into some sort of business where people pay them money to do stuff as an agency. And that unfortunately, when you look at an industry where it's got zero regulation, right? So SEO is a completely unregulated industry, but everyone needs it. And if you look at those two elements,
kind of mental, isn't it? Right?
It's like, of course people are going to exploit it. Of course, there are going to be a lot of cowboys out there. Of course, it's going to be, and then of course, there's going to be a huge distrust to people who, can do a good job. And then, unfortunately, when it comes to selling their site through you, they could have sold it for way more, or when they buy it from you, they could do a lot more to pump up the value if they just consider SEO. Well, if they consider SEO from someone who they know to do a good job,
Yeah, so, for sure. I mean, we have people, and this is a little bit of a change of topic, but related to SEO, we have some buyers. They'll come onto our marketplace and they'll look to buy a business that does have SEO to it, but is declining. Like they got say an SEO penalty or whatever. And we get people who say like, why would EF ever list this site as a penalty? And the reason why we do it is because there's buyers who want to buy that site. So they'll go and buy that declining site. And then they might not know how to fix the penalty, but there's a person out there that sells a service on how to do it. They hire that person fixes the penalty. 6-8 months later, they come back and flip that site with us for like an extra $20,000-$30,000 on what they bought it for. And it only took them about 2 weeks maybe to fix that penalty, and then maybe a month to really see the gains. In fact, I know of a guy who runs that service that most of our buyers go to. And last year at Chiang Mai SEO, he was there, and I told him that these buyers are doing this, and we always refer to him. He's like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm going to buy businesses that have penalties on your marketplace." Our buyers are going there to use his service.
Yeah.
Do you have a special mark? Do you mark those sites? This one is penalized.
I mean, it's pretty clear in the analytics screenshots and all that stuff. Right. Like, if we know for certain it was penalized, which usually the seller would tell us, we'll put it on the listing description too. We might make that a filter eventually on our marketplace because there is definitely people interested in those kind of assets. So we got a question here, 2 from Yafti. How did you continue to grow? And for those that started your own Amazon FBA, at what point did you realize, oh, this is working, or, oh, I can just follow that same process again for money? So I think he's asking, like, how do you decide when to switch up the traffic channel? So let's say you have that Amazon FBA business, it's going really, really well. You're doing Amazon PPC, all that stuff. When is the right time for you to like take that step back and like, okay, now I have money. Let's do some SEO in addition to everything else I'm doing. What do you guys think about that? And you have to let me know if I interpreted what you said right.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. And again, being biased as I am, I would say, as soon as you can afford an SEO service with us, right? For example. Right, because like I said, the earlier you start, as soon as the site is obviously eligible for the service, the better results you get, or earlier, right? So I would say, and I think you may have also mentioned that earlier, Greg. You said, okay, so this is working, bringing money, right? I can pay my bills and have a decent living. Now I still have, some money left, then, why not invest that in, developing the business, right? As soon as you have this, business mindset and business, you want to grow it, you can make more money. So just do that investment and that's fine, right?
Do you get, just random question, but if someone came to you guys and they say they had this FBA business, a lot of FBA businesses don't even have a website yet. Is that something you would help them with? Or are you guys strictly just SEO? They have to go find someone else to build a website?
Well, Rad, correct me if I'm wrong here. We're putting resources in place to be able to build online businesses, like websites, for people, so that they can do all of that kind of stuff. It's not in place yet. It's still in the works. So you should definitely stay tuned. As things stand today, we only take on projects where the site is established, it's got a history behind it, it's got a good foundation that we can, where we can see the value behind the site. It's clearly a valuable asset of a established website, and we work on making that site rank higher.
That makes sense. That's where you have the most leverage with technical SEO. So
that's where we would have. Go on.
No, sorry. I was going to say we do have a partner agency that is a web dev agency at the moment, right? Yeah. So we can refer them to like decent agency that we've been working with for a while, and they can build a website. So the service you mentioned, Raf, yes, we are working on that, but I'm not 100% sure if it will actually fit FBAs, like you said, because it's more targeted at affiliates, where we will actually do a full research into the keywords and everything, then just basically build an optimized website for them, right? With the content and everything, right? It's slightly different, but if there are FBAs that want to just create a website from scratch and maybe even like use an API to pull in some products, let's say if they're doing drop shipping or something. Well, not necessarily drop shipping. Well, drop shipping as well, because you can actually drop ship to Amazon and then Amazon fulfills the orders, right? So that agency that we're working closely with, they can actually develop something like that.
And just to give a direct answer to Yofi, and to give a direct figure as well, just so that we can have exact numbers in front of us, I'd go far as to say that if your site is making a surplus of 4 or 5K profit per month, then that is a good time to bring in an SEO company, because you fall within a good. That's when you fall into a good threshold of having an effective and affordable SEO service.
You have the budget to hire someone who actually knows what they're doing at that point, because those are the prices that like the professionals are really charging.
Yeah, I mean, so the minimum that we take the bare minimum that we take any project on for is 2.5K per month. But you want to have some profit for you to take home as well after that. So I'd say 4 or 5K is a sweet spot as to what you want to be making as to begin with. When you start to think, all right, now let me look at hiring an SEO company.
So we have another question here from Damon. How do you square the SEO needs of your site versus an FBA page for the same product in regards to avoiding content duplication? And sorry, Damon, your question got cut off here. For the same product in regards to avoiding content duplication, cannibalization.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and one that a lot of website owners would ask themselves, because in SEO we always scream, "Oi, cannibalization! Sorry, content duplication, no good, right? Keyword cannibalization, no good." But I would say this approach would be similar to what you're doing with your product supplier if they sell the same products. If you're an affiliate, like I said, this affiliate website or an FBA, and let's say your supplier actually also has a shop where they sell similar product, or even Amazon, right? If Amazon is selling that same product to yours, but probably cheaper because it's Amazon, you approach it in a similar fashion, right? For the SEO, for best SEO results, I would say you should probably think about rewriting the product description, right? So it's unique on your website, and then duplicate it for FBA on Amazon. It doesn't matter that much, right? Definitely don't use the same content you've got on your website and put it on Amazon, because that's going to be you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, there's things like where you can put that whole, I forget what it is like a certain canonical tag saying this is where the original content was. But I'm assuming if the original content was on your website and put it on Amazon, Google doesn't care. They'll just assume Amazon is the correct one. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That's correct. Amazon has got so much authority. Google will actually Even
we know Amazon plagiarized you, but they're the original one.
Yeah. Awesome. It's weird, but it's how it is.
All right. So we have a question from Sam. What are the best website builders such as Squarespace, Kajabi, Wix, Weebly for SEO? Is there a difference?
Yeah, don't go with Wix.
They have great ads, though.
Yeah, no, you can't do much SEO in Wix. It was actually quite funny. A few years back, Wix actually announced an SEO competition. Hey, outrank us for a keyword related to SEO. And you can't because we're so good. Our system is so good with SEO, and it got raped basically.
I remember though that was a really bad PR case for
that. Isn't that before they made a few updates or improvements to their system?
So the last 3 months I've heard it's gotten a lot better. Yeah.
Oh really?
3 to 6 months, but I like WordPress is always the CMS I'm
familiar with. I was gonna say go with WordPress whenever possible, and it doesn't matter if you're going to host it yourself or just use WordPress.com hosting or something like that. I think was it someone did a test for the fastest WordPress hosting, and that was I can't remember what it was, or don't want to product play.
Sounds like a Diggity Roundup article right there you're about to promote.
Yeah, there was one as well, but yeah, WordPress is probably the most. It's actually the most popular. As far as I remember, WordPress powers around or almost 80% of the entire internet.
Yeah.
So
it's really crazy.
Real quick, so most of the e-commerce entrepreneurs that we come into contact with, they run on Shopify. So Shopify is pretty much like the WordPress of e-commerce in some instances. You know, it's analogous. What do you guys think of the Shopify platform in terms of SEO?
Yeah, just one thing is because Sam mentioned mainly non-e-commerce solutions.
Yeah.
Like Squarespace, Kajabi, Wix, Weebly. So that's why I said WordPress. If it comes to e-commerce strictly, I would say my number one would be, especially a SaaS product, would be Shopify. We really like Shopify. They allow you to do so much out of the box, and even more if you know how to dig into their code. It's great. And as far as
there's only one restriction that I can think of with Shopify, which is that
robots of text.
Not that the country the TLD targeting. So there's difficulty with doing a /FR or / DE for Germany or whatever it is.
You guys have seen SaaS companies on Shopify? Like they host their SaaS website on Shopify?
I don't think I've seen it. No.
Oh, I must have misunderstood you when you said SaaS on Shopify. They're like, oh, that's interesting.
No, so I meant if you're looking for a platform that does everything for you, right? I would go with Shopify.
I see.
Because if you want to host it yourself, then it's most likely Magento.
Yeah. So we have a question from Nest Testers. Can you tell us his company name / contact? I think he is referring to your web designer. So Nest, if you email contact at the Search Scientist, they can probably hook you up with that.
Yeah.
Oh, the company that corrects Google penalties. I should have read your next question, not to decide. But I'm sure you guys can fix Google penalties, right?
Like, we do. We can. Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So again, the answer is the same. Email contact.
Yeah, good. Same answer.
I am so good at saving face.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So the next one comes from WordLife. Which SEO company do you recommend? We have a DR72 site, and most of the people I've interviewed have never worked on a site as big as ours. The agencies we talked to had pathetic deliverables. I'm sure you guys.
Brad, can you think of a company? I can't really think of a.
Same answer.
So
nothing's really coming to my head.
Nest and WordLife that you guys can CC each other, email contact at Search Scientist or Search Initiative.
WordLife.
If you have a site that's as large as this and needs help, just get in touch with us. We're unless you missed the beginning of the webinar, we're an SEO company. All we do is SEO. We've got about 50 staff split into different departments and teams, and all these teams focus on the different segments and specializations underneath the umbrella of SEO. And so SEO is all we do.
Yeah.
So just get in touch. Just contact@thesearchinitiative.com if you want to get. That will go through to me directly. So yeah, I'll happily.
I think it's very clear too in WordLife's question what we were just talking about, like the frustration business owners have with SEOs, because like it's ambiguous, it's hard to understand at times. Even the SEOs selling it sometimes don't understand it. So like, yeah, I bet a lot of SEO agencies that probably pitch WordLife probably had terrible deliverables. They didn't know what they were talking about. They've never had, they never built up something that was super successful like what you guys have. So
it's difficult, man. It's because you have to think about it, right? For an SEO company, you have to balance out things like, okay, the resource in terms of personnel that you hire to do a good job, right? You have to have the right people. You have to have them have the right expertise, the right training. You have to pay them well so that they stay with you. And then you have to look at things like the actual deliverables themselves. You want to get the best quality work out to the clients, and that also costs a lot of money. And then you have to balance that out with the marketing and advertising for for your SEO agency, so that you can actually get business in the first place. And then you have to balance that out with testing that you do, so that you know what you're doing, and so you know what works and what doesn't. And then you have to balance that out with a bunch of tools that you have to have as an agency, so that so there's a bunch of stuff that you have to balance out, and it does take a lot of correct and difficult decisions that you have to make as a company to get, as well as a long time, as well as a lot of resource and energy, and in order to build that SEO agency that works. It's very, very difficult to build a robust and effective business SEO agency. It's taken us a long time to get where we are, and there are stages where we had teething issues. There were stages where, how do we jump from a small agency to a medium-sized agency? Just that jump from small to medium is ridiculous, because you have to think about the hierarchy of the company, right? Okay, we can't just have a flat hierarchy where everyone's voice is equal in terms of decision making. You have to have a hierarchy of people who are in charge, then you have managers underneath that, and then you have the staff underneath. You kind of have to have that. Whereas at the beginning of your journey, you're like, I just want to have staff who are happy and who do a good job. And that is important, but it's also important to have structure behind the company and processes, protocols. We use a system called OKRs, which we could even talk about this at another point. It's great. That really helped. OKRs, objectives and key results, is something that Google uses and a bunch of other big companies use. So that kind of structure really, really helps as well. But yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard to build a good agency. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Just quickly, one thing to WordLife, because I think that that person mentioned that the site is as big as ours. So I'm just wondering how big that site is. But one of the bigger sites that we've worked with was Skyscanner, and it was massive. It was huge. So you can compare it yourself, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
WordLife, I just put their email in there in case you can't see my slide. I don't know how to make the slide bigger, WordLife, because I've used this software 3 times so far. I probably should have prepared more.
Yeah, this
still does the job.
Runs.
Still does the job.
That's
great. Well, this was really good, guys. If there are more questions out there, we're coming up on 2.5 hours here. So what I would suggest for the rest of our viewers, if you have other questions, just email them. I've known both of these gentlemen for 2 years, 2.5 years at this point. Really, really great people. Yep. And from my perspective, working at EF, the head of marketing over at Empire Flippers, I get to meet a lot of really quality people like these two, like Raf and Rad. But a lot of business owners don't get to meet quality service providers for all the reasons we just mentioned. So if you really do have some, SEO issues, especially technical SEO issues, these two are fantastic resources, whether you're in e-com, whether you're in a affiliate site, or maybe you're an Amazon FBA guy, you need to create that first website, and maybe in a few months you'll be a good client for them. So
yeah, I appreciate you having us on, Greg. It's always great to chat with you, and
sure.
chat with you for ages about this kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks so much for having us. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and also if people have questions, not only can they email through to us directly at contact@search initiative, but if you want to just throw some comments into the YouTube channel, into the YouTube video in the comment section underneath. Rad and I, or me and you, or Greg, three of us, we can go in there and answer any questions that arise there. So
awesome. Yeah, that would be good for everyone who catches the replay.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, Greg. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed my slide moving skills. They impressed myself. So
maybe you'll for not wearing that T-shirt.
Awesome. Well, I guess that's it. We'll sign off. Thank you guys for coming on and doing this. And again, like they just said, if you're watching this on replay, go ahead and leave a comment in the YouTube channel, and they'll go and monitor it and give you a response. So thank you guys again for being on, and talk to you guys soon.